And then in addition, to do the extra credit, I'd like you to turn in the extra credit files as separate files. So if you're going to do the extra credit, don't submit the 12 files, the 12 document PDF until you get the extra credit ready. So let's get to the extra credit. Okay, so I'm going to open up the extra credit. So there's one here that is one of my cousins that I took a photo of on a bus with a really bright background. So of course he came out in shadow. So I'm gonna so for this one, you get to demonstrate that you know how to use an adjustment layer. So that's key to getting the credit for this, is to use an adjustment layer. And for this you want to only adjust the guy. No need to adjust the background. So you use the quick select tool and you can paint in the guy, or you could try select subject and see how well it figures out. Oh hey, it does a really nice job with select subject. Or you can use quick select and paint to choose him. But that's good. So he's selected with select subject. And then now that he's selected, we add an adjustment layer. So what adjustment layer do you think we should add if we want to kind of brighten him up, bring out the details in his face? We want to add one of these. Levels. Yeah, I like levels for this. So I'm going to choose levels. And because there was a selection, the adjustment layer automatically adds a layer mask on it. So whatever you do on that adjustment layer is only going to show within the masked area. So now in properties, I can drag the midtones in there and really bring out his face. So now we can see those details there. You just do that to your eye. And hey, that looks pretty good. So that's it. So then you make sure to save this, including your layers. So turn this one in as a Photoshop file. So you can go file, let's see. You could just go file save because it started out as a JPEG, and as soon as we add an adjustment layer, when you go file save, it's gonna make you save with a format that will retain layers like the Photoshop format. So I'm gonna say save on my computer, and it's going to my exercise 6. And then you could just you could keep the full name and just put at the beginning your last name, first initial dash, and then you could leave the rest of the name in there. Or you could just put dash extra credit 1, extra credit 2 if you're going to do the other extra credit. However you want to do it, you could just leave the name really long if you want, like this. Just put your last name followed by your first initial dash, and I'll give you the credit for whatever you put after that. Extra credit or the whole title is fine. Okay, so format, let's do this one as a Photoshop file so I can open it up and see that you used the adjustment layer, because that's what gets you the extra credit, that you used the adjustment layer and you did a non-destructive edit. I'm going to say save there. Okay, and I'm going to close this one. And then the next one, I'm going to open that one up. The other extra credit is called extra credit camera. So this is a DNG file, which is like Adobe's version of a raw file. Does anyone know what I'm talking about when I say like a camera raw file? Has anyone ever shot?
Yes.
Awesome. So when you shoot camera raw, what's the benefit of shooting your image as a camera raw image? Anyone have any ideas on that? How is that different than shooting like a JPEG or just a high resolution JPEG image? Any photography experts in the house could give me a good explanation about that? Well, I don't claim to be a photography expert myself, but I did teach a Lightroom photography class a few times, and we worked with camera raw images, and what I found from my research and study into it is that the raw image is like you have access to the negative almost. You're not actually seeing the image as a negative that you have to develop, but it gives you so much fluidity and flexibility. It's like the ultimate non-destructive way to edit when you shoot a camera raw image, because when you make all your adjustments, you can go back and forth very easily, and you have a lot more flexibility in making changes to the colors of the pixels without distorting them or altering them and over processing. Does that make sense? So for this one, I just wanted you to get a feel of what it's like to do a little basic editing with a camera raw image. So this is a camera raw image, a DNG file, and just want you to see what it's like when you open a DNG camera raw image in Photoshop. So when you open it, it will automatically put you into a camera raw editor. So you can learn more about it, or you can just get started. So we'll just get started, and we are in the editor, and we're on the basic editing of the editor. They've got a lot more different types of editing that you could explore. Like there are curves, there are lots of stuff you could explore. All that's required to get your extra credit is that you just do some basic editing in the basic category. But there's a ton that you could learn when you take a full-fledged photography class and really learn editing in camera raw. But let's just look at what's in basic for this one. So with basic, you can adjust the temperature. This image, obviously we shot this image on Halloween at the other school where I teach, where we have access to a green screen. So we lined up people who came dressed up on Halloween and put them in front of a green screen, which makes it easy to composite them and put them into a different background. So that's something that you could do with this image also. But for the extra credit, you just about experiencing what it's like to use a basic camera raw editor. So you can adjust the temperature to give this image a different look. So I can go cooler, or I can go more into the yellow. Also, there are these little controls up here that you can turn on. There's a shadow clipping control up here that you can turn on, and then you can see the little areas of blue show that there is more detail in this area, but the shadows are clipped, so everything looks just black. So it's an indicator to let you know that you might want to lighten things up in this area to bring out more detail. Same thing with the, if you click over here, the highlight clipping. If you turn that on, and let's say I adjusted the temperature, well, it's not really showing me. I thought it was going to clip. Let's see, shadow clipping off, highlight clipping on. See, when you click on these, you're turning those indicators on, or you can turn them off. Right now it's only showing me shadow clipping. tint, I can adjust the tint, more magenta or more green. If I want her to look more like a green witch or not. Maybe I want her to look a little cooler there. Then the exposure, that's where you really want to notice the clipping warnings. So I can adjust the exposure, see if I go too high, too bright on the exposure, then it's giving me these red indicators when I have the highlight clipping on, showing me that I'm losing detail because I brightened things up way too much. I'm surprised her face doesn't have the warning on it, but I'm going to bring that down to show more detail in the hair, but then I'm getting more warning for what parts are where I'm losing detail on the dress because of the shadow clipping. I'm going to increase the contrast this way or that way. So as I bring down the contrast, I see more details on the dress because it's kind of lightening things up. Highlights, you can bring that up or down and see the different shadows. Go this way, and now I can see a lot more detail on the dress. When I go to the right or darken things up, I'm losing detail. So you use your eye. Maybe I don't want to see that much detail. Maybe I want it to look very black. So that's a choice you make. Whites, I can increase the whites, but it's giving me clipping, losing detail in the hair because I'm increasing the highlights. When I increase the whites, bring it down, increase the blacks. Wait, no, actually, in darkening the blacks is to the left. Ooh, look at all that clipping warning saying I'm losing all that detail. If I turn that off, you just see everything got black. Turn it back on, everything is showing me the clipping warning, but I go the other way and I can get rid of the clipping warning. Okay, so you can experiment on your own with the rest of the sliders to give it a look. See what texture does. Clarity is gonna kind of sharpen things, or I ended up moving clarity way to the left, which is kind of making her look more like the good witch of the. And if you move clarity the other way, it'll accentuate her like darkness in her face and wrinkles to make her look like more like the bad witch. Dehaze, you can experiment with these sliders. Vibrance and saturation are very similar. You can just experiment with those sliders, and then you just click you can click open, I believe. If you click open, or let's see, so you can open as object, open as copy. You can click open, and it should just open it as in Photoshop, and then you can save from there. Go file and then save, and it will let you save it as a Photoshop file. Then it will be a PSD, and then just like the other extra credit, just put your last name, first initial, hyphen in front of the extra credit title there, and put it in your folder and turn it in as a Photoshop document, not as a DNG. So I just clicked on open, and it opened it up in Photoshop, the normal Photoshop view, and then you just save it. And after you made some alterations in the Camera Raw editor, you save it as a Photoshop file, and that's it. So save, and then we can close it. Now it's a Photoshop document, we can close that. Then you go to the assignment, last exercise, yay, you click on exercise 6, and you click start assignment to turn it in. Then you click upload file, choose file, start with your regular credit file with your 12 images. So that's gonna be my teaching from home, my folder for this class, and my exercise 6, and it should be the file that you have combined that has all the images. So I'm just clicking on this one. I'm just verifying when I hover over the thumbnail, I'll see arrows so I can, oh, did it not? Yeah, so then it should have all your finished work there. And then you click open and it loads it there. Then you add, if you're doing the extra credit, you can add another file, upload file, choose file, and choose your extra credit. So this is the one with the to show you that we did the adjustment layer. Open, and then add another file, upload file, wait, then choose file, and then the camera raw, the extra credit, that's the camera raw. Open. So we got 3 items, and so you have potentially, you can get your 10 points for doing the exercise, and you can get an additional 10 points for doing both exercises, for doing both extra credits, or you could do one or the other and get an additional 5 points for extra credit. Okay, so then you just click submit assignment and it submits, and then you get the confetti party when you turn it in on time. So that's a wrap. Any questions? Nope. Okay, thanks for hanging in there till the end. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Have a good night. Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good night.
Thank you, you
Bye.
too. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
You help so
appreciating.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.